Ang susunod na programa ay rated PG. Patnubay at gabay ng magulang ay kailangan sa mga batang manonood.
Good morning, Philippines! It's 9:30 a.m. Hello and welcome back to Filipinos. I am Maria Mica Crispy Ibanez, the host of the show. Yesterday, we talked about the Department of Interior and Local Government, DILG. We discussed about the allocated budget and priority projects for the incoming administration of our President Bongbong Marcos Jr. Today, we will be discussing the Department of National Defense.
Ang Department of National Defense ang nangangasiwa sa pagbabantay ng seguridad ng Pilipinas mula sa mga banta ng panggugulo sa anumang paraan na nagmumula sa loob man o sa labas ng ating teritoryo. Nilikha ang Department of National Defense noong unang araw ng Nobyembre 1939 sa pamamagitan ng Executive Order No. 230 sa panahon ng Administrasyong Quezon. Sa kasalukuyan, nasa ilalim ng superbisyon ng tanggulang pambansa ang hukbong sandatahan ng Pilipinas, Office of the Civil Defense, Philippine Veterans Affairs Office, National Defense College of the Philippines at ang Government Arsenal. Kabilang din sa responsibilidad ng kagawaran ang paghahanda at pagtulong sa mga panahon ng kalamidad.
First, let's define the DND. The Department of National Defense, or in Filipino, Kagawaran ng Tanggulang Pambansa. It is the executive department of the Philippine government responsible for guarding the country against external and internal threats, preserving its territorial integrity, and ensuring the democracy. The headquarters of the Department of National Defense was in Quezon City, Metro Manila. Now, let's read their vision and mission. DND has a vision for 2028. A defense organization that guarantees Philippine security, territorial integrity, and democracy. A reliable partner in national development and a strategic player in the Asia-Pacific region. They also explain the mission, the defense against external and internal threats to territorial integrity and sovereignty, and promote the welfare of the people in order to create a secure and stable environment conducive to national development. Department of National Defense also has a proper mission to exercise supervision and control over its bureaus and attached agencies through the formulation, implementation, and management of defense policies, resources, and objectives in the attainment of the national defense mandate. DND also has a proper quality policy. In our quest for performance excellence, we are committed to comply with the requirements and continually improve our quality management system, QMS, in formulating, implementing, and managing defense policies and objectives, and providing leadership and overall direction to all our bureaus and attached agencies in our pursuit of the DND mandate, version 4 since 2019. Let's move on to DND's functions. It is tasked with the responsibility of providing the necessary protection of the state against external and internal threats, directing, planning, and supervising the National Defense Program, maintaining law and order throughout the country, and performing other functions as may be provided for by law. It exercises executive supervision over the Armed Forces of the Philippines, AFP, the Government Arsenal, GA, the Office of Civil Defense, OCD, the Philippines Veterans Affairs Office, and the National Defense Colleges of the Philippines, NDCP. It is charged with the duty of supervision the national defense programs of the country. It also has responsibility for overseeing field operations to ensure the judicious and effective implementation of national defense and security programs. The OIC of DND will be our next topic of discussion. Ms. Hoson will speak about it. Next to her is Mr. Guerta, who will talk about the DND's budget. For DND projects and programs, Mr. Lituania comes next after Mr. Guerta. Finally, Mr. Laisal will discuss on DND issues.
Good day everyone. Today we will know who is the head of the Department of National Defense. The Delphine and Lorenzana. After President Rodrigo won the 2016 presidential election, Lorenzana was named as the incoming Secretary of National Defense. Secretary Delphine Neguilla Lorenzana became the 36th Secretary of National Defense on June 30, 2016, bringing to the department his experience in national defense and security special operations, foreign military affairs, public diplomacy, veterans affairs, and strategic leadership. And the current acting secretary is Jose Faustino Jr., who assumed office on June 30, 2022. Jose Calinason Faustino Jr. is a retired Philippine Army General who, since his appointment is in June 2022 by President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., serves as a senior undersecretary and officer in charge of the Department of National Defense.
Ang pagsusundalo, hindi lang paghawak ng baril at pagsabak sa gera. Dahil marami pang trabaho ang naghihintay sa loob ng sandatahang lakas. Hukbong dagat. Hukbong himpapawid. At hukbong katihan. Yan ang bumubuo sa sandatahang lakas ng Pilipinas.
Yung mga army natin, being infantry units or foot soldiers na tinatawag natin, basically diyan sila sa mga bundok, sa mga kagubatan. Basically ang Air Force naman natin, nandun sila sa mga kung saan tayo may mga pasilidad ng ating paliparan sa mga airport natin. Yung ating namang mga Navy comprised of seagoing personnel at saka Marines. They are on board our Navy vessels.
The head of the Department of Air Force is Lieutenant General Conor Anthony David Canlas Jr., who is a Filipino Air Force General who currently serves as the 38th and incumbent Commander General of the Philippine Air Force since 8 December 2021. Prior to his appointment as the head of the Philippine Air Force, Canlas served as the Vice Commander of the Philippine Air Force and served as the Commander of the Air Defense Command and the Air Force Reserve Command. The head of the Armed Force is Lieutenant General Vicente Bacaro. The Philippine Army joined the Armed Force of the Philippines, or AFP, in welcoming Lieutenant General Vicente Bartolome Bacaro in the 58th AFP Chief of Staff in the Change of Command Ceremony at the Lapu-Lapu Grandstand, Camp Aguinaldo, Quezon City on August 8, 2022. The head of the Department of Marine Air Force is Marine General Charlton C. M. Garland, who is a newly installed Commander of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, Education, Training, and Doctrine Command. Prior to this, he was the AFP Deputy Assistant Chief of Staff for Intelligence. The purpose of Air Force: it is responsible in protecting in the air. Armed Force is for land, and Marine Force is in our territory.
Ang pagkakaroon ng tamang kaalaman patungkol sa paglalaan ng budget ay isa sa napakahalagang usapin para sa ating mga mamayanan. So dahilan na ang perang ginagamit sa mga programa ng bawat ahensya ng ating pamahalaan ay nanggagaling po mismo sa pera ng taong bayan. Ngayon ay atin namang pag-usapan ang budget na nilaan para sa Department of National Defense noong nakaraang taon. For the year 2022 budget proposal, ang Office of the Ombudsman together with the Department of Budget and Management Office, inaprubahan ang budget allotted for the Department of National Defense na nagkakahalaga ng 220.9 billion pesos na siyang gagamitin at ilalaan sa lahat ng gastusin or expenditure ng departamentong ito. For that to achieve their goal and fulfill its role to protect the country's territory and provide a better security to maintain the peace para sa lahat ng sasakupan ng bansa ito. If ipag-compare po natin ang nilaang budget for the year 2022 from the previous budget, which is yung 2021 budget na nagkakahalaga lamang ng 208.5 billion pesos, dito ay pinapakita lamang na tumaas po talaga ng bahagya ang budget na nilaan, wherein 7.87% or 8% ang in-increase ng budget ng Department of National Defense para sa taong 2022. We can only see on the table presentation na rank as number 5 in the top priority po ng previous para magiging ganun din para sa current administration ang Department of National Defense. It only tells us na ang gobyerno natin ay talagang ninanais na mas palakasin pa ang armed forces nito para sa ganun ay maprotektahan Maprotektahan pa ang bansa laban sa mga kriminal, terorista at pati na rin sa pagprotekta nito sa teritoryo ng ating bansa. So, saan nga ba planong ilaan ng Department of National Defense ang budget na pinagkaloob ng gobyerno sa kanila? Sa meeting po na naganap noong September 1, 2021 sa House Committee hearing para sa budget approval ng hininging budget ng departamento para sa taong pong 2022, ang head na si Delphine Lorenzana ay tinalakay kung saan at paano gagamitin ang budget na hinihiling nila.
Budget ng Department of National Defense para sa 2022 tinaasan ng gobyerno.
Isinalang na sa pagbusisi ng House Committee on Appropriations ang budget ng Department of National Defense para sa susunod na taon. Kumarap mismo sa pagdinig si Defense Secretary Delphine Lorenzana at hiniling sa komite na dagdagan ng 28.8 billion pesos ang kanilang pondo para sa pensyon ng mga retiradong militar na dapat mabayaran ng DND. Nasa 297.1 billion pesos ang panukalang budget ng DND para sa 2022, mas mataas ito ng 8% kumpara sa 2021 budget ng ahensya.
Kanyang pinaliwanag at binigyang diin na ang bawat sangay po ng departamento ay maghahati-hati sa budget na ito, kung saan ang Philippine Army ay makareceive ng 102,000.9 billion, ang Air Force naman ay 32.3 billion, samantala ang Navy ay 32.7 billion. Sa revised AFP Modernization Program naman ay makareceive ng 35 billion at ang pension po para sa mga retired nating Army personnel which is around 16.4 billion pesos. Dagdag pa dito ay may nilaan ding budget para sa kanilang programa na tinatawag na NTF-LCAC na nagkakahalaga ng 28.1 billion pesos, kung saan may layunin po ito na magtayo ng mga rehabilitasyon at programa para tulungan at pukasan na ang komunistang grupo. Layunin po ng budget na ito na patuloy pang palakasin ang hanay ng sandataang lakas at suportahan at protektahan pa po ang mga nasusukupan nito. Tayo lamang ang budget discussion para sa Department of National Defense.
So for the projects of Department of National Defense, we have Department of Defense Modernization Program. Second, Project Buhawi, an automated gun mount. And the last one is the Community Support Program by AFP. Department of National Defense Modernization Program. The Armed Forces of the Philippines has a 15-year modernization program that started in 2012 and will continue through 2027. The Republic Act 10349, also known as the Revised Armed Forces Modernization Act, was enacted to strengthen the AFP's capability to address counterterrorism and internal threats. Now let us see the video for us to know what is the Department of National Defense Modernization Program.
Noong June 20, 2018, inaprubahan ng dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte ang shopping list ng Armed Forces Modernization Program para sa Horizon 2. Ang listahan ng mga proyekto ay may budget ng higit kumulang $5.6 billion o higit kumulang 300 billion pesos. Sa isang panayam ng media, sinabi ni Defense Department spokesperson na si Arsenio Andolong na ito ay magbibigay daan sa gobyerno na makabalik sa landas na nagtatatag ng isang mapagkakatiwalaang postura ng depensa sa ilalim ng Horizon 2 ng Revised Armed Forces of the Philippines Modernization Program o RAF-PMP. Kukuha ang gobyerno ng mga bagong kagamitan para gawing moderno ang outdated military ng bansa. Kabilang dito ang mga submarines, frigate, fighter, aircraft, unmanned aerial vehicles o UAVs, howitzers, cruiser weapons, at radar. Ang ilan sa mga kagamitan kabilang ang mga submarines ay original na nakatakdang kuhain sa ilalim ng Horizon 3 ng RAF-PMP na itinakda para sa 2023 hanggang 2028. Gayunpaman, nagpasya ang dating Administrasyong Duterte na isama ang pagkuha nito sa Horizon 2. Binanggit ni Andolong ang dalawang dahilan kung bakit nagpasya ang gobyerno na subaybayan ang modernisasyon ng militar. Una dito, ang hangarin ng Armed Forces, kung saan nire-recognize ito ng dating Pangulong Duterte na dapat may balik sa landas ang modernisasyon ng Pilipinas. Pangalawa ay ang pangangailangan nito dahil sa patuloy na umuusbong na sitwasyon sa seguridad. Tinukoy din ni Andolong ang geopolitical climate sa rehiyon na may tumataas na tensyon sa pagitan ng US at China at iba pang bansa na may interes sa South China Sea at West Philippine Sea. Ayon sa spokesperson, sa kasamaang palad, nasa gitna tayo ng lahat ng iyon. Napagtanto ng gobyerno na hindi natin kayang maupo at hintayin na kusang maging moderno ang AFP dahil kinakailangan talaga na magkaroon ng political will. Nagsimula ang 15 taong GRAF PEP noong nakaraang administrasyong Benigno Aquino III. Ngunit naantala ang pagpapatupad ng programa at sa pagtatapos lamang ng administrasyong Aquino, naaprubahan ang unang yugto ng programa. Mula sa humigit kumulang $5.6 billion na inaprubahan ni Duterte, $2.6 billion o humigit kumulang 130 billion pesos ay para sa Air Force, $1.4 billion o humigit kumulang 70 billion pesos ay para sa Navy, $890 million o humigit kumulang 44.5 billion pesos para sa Army, at ang ilan ay para sa arsenal ng gobyerno at para sa AFP General Headquarters, kasama sa mga kagamitan na kukunin para sa Air Force, ang multi-role fighter, radar system, light utility at medium lift aircraft, heavy lift helicopter, unmanned aerial vehicle, attack and combat utility helicopter, special mission at long-range patrol aircraft, at trainer aircraft. Makakakuha naman ang Navy ng mga frigate, corvette, submarines, amphibious assault vehicle, anti-submarine helicopter, attack props, medium lift helicopter, at multi-role vessel. Kasama naman sa bibilhin ng Army ang mga towed and self-propelled howitzers, multiple launch rocket system, light tank, armored recovery vehicle, tactical radio, ground mobility equipment, individual weapons, cruiser weapons, at night fighting equipment. Nasa listahan din sa shopping list ang mga combat engineer, force protection, explosive ordnance disposal, chemical, biological, radiological, at nuclear defense, humanitarian assistance, at disaster response and medical equipment.
The Philippine Navy Modernization Program is a 15-year program. It is divided into 3 horizons. Horizon 1 is from 2013 to 2017. Horizon 2 is 2018 to 2022. And Horizon 3 is 2023 to 2027. The Duterte administration covers part of Horizon 1 and the whole of Horizon 2. Philippine Navy Modernization Office Director Captain Emerson David says, during the Duterte administration, they have purchased many assets. This includes 2 warships, the BRP Jose Rizal and BRP Antonio Luna, that were delivered in 2020 and 2021. Captain David says, although the previous administration listed them, the Duterte administration funded it. The current administration also purchased 2 anti-submarine helicopters, 3 multi-purpose attack craft used in Mindanao, 8 amphibious assault vehicle, 2 landing dock, 1 pohang vessel, and rocket-propelled grenade launchers delivered on 2019. The Navy also expects the delivery of other acquired assets such as the fast attack interdiction missile craft, ammunitions, light armor, 10 fast boats for Navy SEALs, system upgrade of Jacinto-class and Del Pilar-class vessels, and even the development of naval education, training, and doctrine in Zambales and docking base in Cebu.
The said acquisitions, yung aking pong na-mention, and deliveries are characterized and categorized as equipment requirements po ng ating Philippine Navy in order to attain the minimum credible defense posture.
While the 2 tugboats, including harbor tugboat and ocean-going tugboat, are now in the bidding process.
The ocean-going tug, these are much bigger and capable for towing yung mga barko natin in the high seas. So pwede siyang pumalaot para kung meron halimbawa na kailangan siyang hilahing barko, magagamit siya. While the other one po, yung harbor tug natin, these are special boats na ginagamit naman to assist other vessels into and out of the pier.
Captain David says they are waiting for the budget for the approved 6 offshore patrol vessels and corvettes. The Philippine Navy admits they need more maritime assets like a submarine just like other countries.
Marami po tayo kasing pangangailangan and pinaprioritize ng puhunan natin ano ba yung mas kailangan natin to address yung mga current natin na situation. So ganun po ang nangyayari. But all of these are really important para po sa ating buong sandatahang lakas and buong Philippine Navy. Lahat po ito, hindi lang po barko, actually yung pong pangangailangan natin para sa ating air assets are equally important po.
After watching the video, we can say that the budget for our national defense is very important. It is because our country needs protection, and this protection is advanced and modernized equipment for modern warfare. If you have a modernized equipment for war, terrorists will be intimidated by how strong your country is. Now moving on, the second project that the Department of National Defense has to offer us is the Buhawi project. It was a project in support to Department of National Defense Self-Reliant Defense Posture Program. or SRDP, which the main thrust is to be self-sufficient in basic military requirements by manufacturing our own weapons. The Department of Science and Technology and DND sealed their partnership through a memorandum of agreement on January 5th, year 2018, to achieve a self-reliant defense posture. Ranking the opportune phase of implementation, DOST proposes to develop an automated gun mount for Browning 0.50 caliber machine gun M2 heavy barrel to increase the firepower capability of the Philippine Navy's small patrol crafts, defending the country's littoral water territories and capability to counter terrorism. They will also ensure that the safety of the personnel operating the machine and will eventually lead to the local manufacturing of automated gun mounts in accordance with the DND SRDP and reviving the local industry. Now for additional information, let's watch the video.
Magandang araw mga kabayan. Pag-usapan natin ngayon ang Project Buhawi ng DOST. Building a Universal Mount for Heavy Barrel Automated Weapon Integration o Project Buhawi. Ito ay proyekto sa pagtutulungan ng DOST, Philippine Navy at ng Robotics Society of the Philippines. Ito ay isang imbensyon na makakatulong hindi lamang sa Philippine Navy, kundi sa lahat ng sangay ng ating armed forces. Ngunit ano nga ba itong Project Buhawi? Ito ay isang automated gun mount para sa caliber 50 at madalas na ginagamit ng ating Philippine Navy. Dahil sa imbensyon na ito, ay maaari nang makontrol ang caliber 50 sa loob ng barko at hindi na kailangang i-operate pa ng mano-mano ng isang sundalo ang pagpapaputok sa baril na ito. Ito ay makukontrol gamit lamang ang computer, katulad ng mga nakikita natin sa mga barko ng USA, Russia at iba pang malalakas na bansa. Ang imbensyon na ito ay may pagmamalaki natin bilang sariling gawa ng mga Pilipino. Ang proyekto ito ay ginastusan ng 14 na milyong piso. Ito ay di hamak na mas mababa kung ikukumpara sa pagbili ng mga imported na automated gun mount. Dahil ang mga imported na automated gun mount ay nagkakahalaga ng 24 na milyong piso. Dahil dito, iniisip ng Philippine Navy at DOST na magkaroon ng mass production sa automated gun mount na ito dahil sa malaking potensyal nito na maibenta sa ibang bansa sapagkat mataas ang kalidad nito at di hamak na mas mababa ang presyo. Dahil sa tagumpay ng proyekto ito, ay napatunayan natin na tayo ay may kakayahan na gumawa ng sarili nating mga armas at kaya rin natin na tapatan ang teknolohiya ng malalaking bansa at sana ito ay magtuloy-tuloy na upang hindi na tayo laging umaasa sa ibang bansa.
Now that we've watched the video Project Buhawi of DOST, Philippine Navy, and Philippine Robotics Society, my thoughts about Buhawi project is this will really help our maritime territory against illegal fishers or pirates. Because we know that when people who are trying to invade our territory will see a weapon like this, they will surely be scared of invading our maritime territory. Now that we have discussed the two projects that I've mentioned earlier, and these are the Department of National Defense Modernization Program and the Buhawi Project, an automated gun mount, let's now move on to our last project. And this project is called Community Support Program. This program is helping our fellow native Filipino citizens or indigenous people who were being abused and being brainwashed by the NPA. In an article of Philippine News Agency published on October 12, year 2021, it said that the Community Support Program is the key in defeating NPA or New People's Army. They said that the main objective of the program was to clear communities of NPA infestation while neutralizing the politics military structure the rebels established in the villages. For additional info, here are the highlights of the Community Support Program documentary Amistay Tagamantay.
Ang buhay namin dito sa Mantay ay talagang mahirap kami. Sa loob ng isang buwan, bihira kami makakain ng bigas.
Nung wala pa kong pumapasok na FPE sa amin, kahit po kanina tirap sa mga pagkain namin, medyo masaya-saya pa. Pero nung may pumasok na ako FPE, diyan na natin ang hirap namin sa pagkain kasi nakita namin kung may pumasok na FPE. Kahit may pagkain kami sa bahay, nakaipon na sa bahay, pag may mga na FPE, hinihingian pa na ang mga FPE yung pagkain namin.
How did the AFP react to this?
Isa ang pagpasok natin dito sa Sitio Bantay, actually, no, kalagitnaan ng taong 2019. Ito ay matapos ng makakalap tayo ng sapat na datos na magiging basihan natin kung bakit ba kailangan pasukin ang Sitio Bantay sa dinami-dami ng videos dito sa mundo ng video.
Most of hindi po tayo nandito ngayon. Kaya nga lang, doon sa mga operations natin, dito tayo dinala nung mga encounters. Doon sa mga encounters na yun, meron tayong mga naging body counts, recoveries, to include yung mga documents. So yung mga documents na yun yung nakapaload sa mga documents kung anong meron ang lugar na ito. So base sa ating pagsasaliksik, isa ito sa pinakamalalim na lugar na pinamugaran ng mga huwad ng hukbong-bayan.
Buka tayo dito ng kulang-kulang 10 malaking kampo ng NPA sa paligid lamang ng mga sukwento. Alam pa dito ay yung mga dokumento na nakuha natin sa mga enkwentro. Kasama na rin yung mga revelasyon ng mga ating mga former rebels. Ng Sitio Bantay nga at ang mga natin na dito ay napapabilang sa kanilang silang basing guerrilla. Sila hindi meron na rin sariling pamamahala sa ilalim ng pamumuno ng mga komunista.
Yung Sitio Bantay nga ay sa among the ethnic group ng IP, ito yung buhid. No? Initially, nung na-consider natin yon as our target for activities natin sa campaign natin, initially kasi kailangan talaga natin i-clearing area kasi na-consider dyan na base ng kalaban, ibig sabihin doon na sila namumuhay, doon na sila gumagawa ng mga activities. Nung kami ay pumasok doon sa area, syempre nabigla kami na talagang backward, talagang ang situation sa kanila. Napakaraming mga needs nila na talagang wala, no? Even yung mga health services, education, wala talaga. So parang nakikita namin na ang hirap talaga mamuhay sa ganitong lugar at dahil napakalayo ng itong sitio na to, so expected natin na usually mga government services hindi nakakarating.
Collaboration ng different government agencies, ano? So we're already able to make a breakthrough doon sa community. So makita natin doon yung mga bagong struktura and it is also the first time na magkakaroon sila ng mga solar lights doon which were provided by the provincial government and also the local government of San Jose. And in the course of implementing this, it was I was given the instruction by our brigade commander, si Colonel Augusto Villarreal, na we will be coming up with a comprehensive sitio development plan. And of course, this is in consultation with the IP leaders in the area. Kasi nakikita kasi natin, naramdaman namin na maraming gustong tumulong. So nandiyan na nakikita namin na marami na rin nagpapahiwatig sa amin na they also want to help these IP communities.
Now that you have watched the video, I think that the AFP, Armed Forces of the Philippines, and DND, or Department of National Defense, were eager to protect our indigenous people that lived in remote places from the threats of NPA, or New People's Army. The documentary has 3 episodes, so I'm going to send the link here on our Google Meet as well as on RGC for your reference.
And now, this part, we will talk about the issues of the Department of National Defense. The first issue is war on drugs. It started in 2016 when Duterte became president, and this is one of the first things he implemented and killed at least 6,000 suspected drug dealers. The ICC claims this could amount to crimes against humanity. Most of those killed are poor across the Philippines. Thousands of families suffered during the drug war, and it includes many children. Many are hoping that this could lead to accountability. But Duterte said he couldn't care less about the court's investigation and he will not cooperate. The ICC investigators are going to aim pretty high on the investigation.
The chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court is seeking to open an investigation into the Philippine government's war on drugs. President Rodrigo Duterte's regime has killed at least 6,000 suspected drug dealers. The ICC claims this could amount to crimes against humanity. The Philippines is not a member of the ICC, and Duterte says that he will not cooperate with the investigation, calling it politically motivated.
The next issue is the West Philippine Sea issue. The Philippine Coast Guard confronts the Chinese Coast Guard going on patrol in the West Philippine Sea and claiming that territory belongs to them. They said that they are currently conducting in their exclusive economic area under the jurisdiction of the People's Republic of China. It seems that the fishermen in our country are losing hope because of the difference in the size of the Chinese ship to their boat. And in addition to this, the airplanes patrolling around it.
Nagkaroon na naman ng tensyon sa West Philippine Sea nang kumprontahin kasi ng ating Coast Guard ng mga Chino ng matigas at giniit na nagpapatrolya sila sa kanilang teritoryo. News si Oscar Oida.
Sa video ito, nakuha mula sa loob mismo ng BRP Nueva Ecija ng Philippine Coast Guard. Makikita ang isa na namang close encounter ng mga Pilipino at Chino sa West Philippine Sea. Kuha raw ito noong Biyernes nang makatapatan ng ating puwersa ang isang patrol vessel ng Chinese Coast Guard sa bahagi ng Baho de Masinloc. Sa kanilang pag-ipag-usap, ilang beses na iginiit ng ating Coast Guard ng teritoryo ng Pilipinas ang pinasok ng Chinese vessel.
Chinese Coast Guard Vessel 1104. This is Philippine Coast Guard Vessel 003 together with MCS 3001. We are conducting routine patrol in our exclusive economic zone. Over.
Pero walang sagot ang Chinese Coast Guard habang papalapit ng papalapit ang dalawang barko sa isa't isa.
Chinese Coast Guard Vessel 1104. This is Philippine Coast Guard Vessel 003 together with MCS 3001. We are conducting routine patrol in our exclusive economic zone. Please come in. Over.
Pero ilang sandali pa, gate ng Chinese Coast Guard, nagpapatrolya rin daw sila sa kanilang teritoryo. Karaniwan na ang getong eksena para sa mga nagpapatrolyang Coast Guard sa bahagi ng Baho de Masinloc. Ito ay matapos ilabas ng International Arbitral Tribunal ang kanilang desisyon na pumapabor sa Pilipinas.
Pangalawa, para din madama yung presensya ng gobyerno doon sa area. Ibig sabihin, dahil merong itlos na panalunan, wala namang reason bakit hindi tayo dapat magpatron. Tapos na naman yung itlos.
Pero imbis na magkaroon ng kumpiyansa, tila nawawalan pa ng pag-asa ang ating mga mandaragat. Kung ikukumpara kasi ang ating mga barko, wala pang katiting sa mga higanting barko ng China na minsan ay may kasama pang mga eroplano nagpapatrolya sa Impapawid.
Last month, we have BRP to Bataha, dumating galing Japan. And we have 9 more coming from Japan. Okay, so this 44-meter vessel would be a very big help kung sakaling nandito na sila lahat. The next one will be arriving in December, then 3 months thereafter, darating na siya. And the President 2 weeks ago also approved the procurement of 2 vessels katulad nung sa China, yung dalawang malaki. So magiging malaking tulong sa amin yan at we're also negotiating 2 more from France, mga new vessels ito.
The next issue is retired personnel working for the government again but still receiving a pension. Before, when an officer retired and received a pension and they wanted to work in the government again, they would be given a choice whether to continue the pension or return to the government. When they return to the government, they would stop receiving their pension. But now, the other officers who have retired and are receiving pension, and when they return to service, they still do not stop receiving pension and it adds to their salary. The outcome is they have a pension plus the salary given to them by the government. But this not happen only on the national government, but also in the local government, like municipality and city hall, etc.
Meron po akong, alam nyo, ito isang araw ko pa ito, nung isang linggo pa ito nalaman. Ano nung 2 weeks ago na. Nung araw ay nalaman ko na merong, ito ang i-discuss nung ito, medyo kakaiba po ito. Pero alam ko makaka-interest po kayo. Pasintabi na po doon sa, wala akong tutukoy yung pangalan. Pero pasintabi na po doon sa mga maaaring kayo ang tamaan. Kasi ganito po eh. 2 linggo ko nang sinisilip at pinag-aaralan, na-confirm ko kahapon. Alam nyo yung palang mga retired colonel at retired general. Okay? Both military and police. Nagretiro, di ba? Tapos ini-appoint sa pamahalaan ng appointing power nung araw pa at saka sa salukuyan. Yan palang mga retiradong mga opisyal na yan dati. 2 pala yung tinatanggap na pera mga yan. Galing sa gobyerno. Ibig sabihin galing sa taong bayan. Pera ng bayan. Ganito po kasi. Pag ikaw ay nagretirong colonel o general o anumang ranggo mo sa PNP at military, meron kang regular na pension na tawag doon. Yung retirement mo, lump sum, tapos meron ka pang monthly kung magkaano man yung retirement mo. Okay? Nasa batas po yun, legal. Noong araw po kasi, matagal ng panahon, pag nagretiro ang pulis at militar, anumang ranggo nila, at pumasok ka sa gobyerno ulit, halimbawa ay na-appoint ka, o kung ano man dahilan kung bakit babalik ka sa gobyerno, civilian government na, dahil retirado ka na. Noong araw po, pinamimili ka. Sasabihin sa iyo ng gobyerno o general, Anong gusto mo? Tuloy yung pension mo or papasok ka ulit sa gobyerno? Ibig sabihin, pinamimili. Halimbawa, si Jomel Santos, general ito, nag-retiro. Ako yung taga-gobyerno, sabihin ko sa kanya, General Santos, retirado ka na, sir. Di ba? Yes, sir, sabi ni Jomel Santos. Pero, sir, inuperan po ako ng presidente, bibigyan po ako ng panagbagong trabaho sa gobyerno, civilian government. Okay. Ako naman yung taga-gobyerno, sabihin ko, General Santos, mamili ka. Tuloy ko yung pension mo or bumalik ka ulit sa gobyerno. Kasi sabihin ko, General, ganito ang policy eh. Yung araw ito. Pag pumasok ulit sa gobyerno, ititigil ko ang pension mo. Sige, go ahead. Pumasok ka sa gobyerno, karapatan mo yan. Yan po yung policy ng araw. Akalain mo na-discover ko po 2 weeks ago. Ayaw ko nga maniwala eh, pero totoo eh. Yung pala nawala na yung policy niyan. Ang mga retired colonel at general sa ating police at militar, tuloy ang pension pag pumasok sa gobyerno, government, bali civilian government. Halimbawa, cabinet secretary, director, YOSEC, ASEC, chairman, commissioner, lahat ng posisyon sa national government. Ayun, tuloy ang pension nila tapos may sweldo pa sila. So, ibig sabihin, dalawa yung kanilang kinukuhang pera sa gobyerno, ang employer, gobyerno. Ang employer, mamamayang Pilipino. Tama ba yun? Di ba parang talon-talon naman tayo? Kaya pala maraming mga retired general at colonel, gustong-gustong pumasok sa pamahalaan. Tuloy ang pension nila, tapos may sweldo pa. Wow! Yun po nangyayari noon at hanggang ngayon ay nangyayari. Kaya pakareview nga mga congressman, mga senador.
4 policemen involved in robbery and kidnap for ransom. A policeman died after fighting with the other policemen for what he did as robbery and kidnap for ransom. And 3 other policemen were involved and arrested. The 4 policemen just simply entered the owner's house and rummaged for anything and took money and even demanded money from its victims.
Nang gagalaiti sa galit si NCRPO Director Chief Superintendent Guillermo Eliazar nang kumprontahin ng 3 bagitong pulis na naaresto sa Taguig kaninang umaga. Sangkot umano ang mga pulis na sina PO1 Brian Amir Papabajo, PO1 Paulo Michelena Ocampo at PO2 Joey Ermino Maro sa robbery at kidnap for ransom. Ang isa pa nilang kasamahang si PO1 Geraldo Ancheta nasawi matapos umanong manlaban sa mga kabaro. Kwento ng 3 biktima ng 4 na batang pulis. Bandang alas 8 raw kagabi, sinundan ng mga ito ang unang biktima pauwi ng kanyang bahay sa Lower Bigutan.
Tinanong nila, taga dyan ka ba sa bahay na yan? Sabi ko, opo. Nung pagsabi kong opo, pinasok na nila ako sa bahay. Pinapasok nila ako. Tapos yun, nagalungkat na sila. Pumasok sila sa kwarto ko. Sinabog nila lahat ng damit. Lahat kinakal nila.
Ano ba sa'yo?
50,000.
Din mo, sir. Bandang alauna na madaling araw naman, ang ikalawat ikatlong biktimang magkasintahan, ang basta na lang daw pinasok ng 4 na pulis sa kanilang bahay.
Sinahanap nila yung pangalan ng tao. Totally po, hindi naman po ako taga rito sa Taguig eh. Tiga Makati po ako. Doon po ako nagulat, ba't nila ako kilala?
Nagbebenta daw kami ng drugs. Sabi ko, sir, nagbebenta. Inayaan namin sila magkalungkat, sir. Kung baka, sige, magkalungkat, inayaan namin. Pero wala sir, never kami nagano. Kasi alam namin sa sarili namin, wala naman talaga, sir. Tinong wala silang makuha. Sige, sinama kami kasi gusto talaga din nila mag-ano kami ng pera. Provide.
Magkano daw?
200,000 ang hinihingi niya. Para daw, ang sabi nila, para daw wala kami kaso.
27,000 pesos lang daw ang naibigay ng magkasintahan. Kaya isinakay raw sila ng mga pulis sa kanilang EUV at dinala sa construction site na ito sa Arca South sa Taguig. Dito pinalaya ang babaeng biktima para maghanap ng perang ibang tutubos naman niya sa kanyang boyfriend. Pero sa police station tumuloy ang babae para magsumbong.
Iniwan ko. So kung gagawa ko ng kalokohan, itong hindi ko na makita to. And then, so nakikita ko naman kasi sa kanila na parang ano sila sa tao, parang hindi siya ganun hindi. Oo, actually naman nakasalubong kaming mobile dito kasi may nagro-roving din na takot sila. Doon ko sila nakitaan din na parang ang weakness nila.
Hindi pa totoo yun. So, nalang sa hotel.
Nagkasa ng entrapment operation ng Taguig Police kung saan naaresto ang mga suspect.
Bali, 4 yan. Yung 3, nagpakilala na sumuko ng matiwasay, nagpakilala na pulis, pero yung isa lumaban at nakipagputukan. Kaya yun nasawi yung isang pulis. I came out na puro mga active personnel ng Precinct 1 ng Taguig City Police Station itong 4.
Inaalam pa kung may iba pang kasangkot ang 4. Pero iniutos na ni Eliazar na tanggalin sa pwesto ang lahat ng iba pang pulis ng PCP-1 sa Western Bigutan. Ililipat muna sila sa Regional Headquarters Support Group sa Camp Bagong Diwa habang iniimbestigahan.
The next issue is no national peace talks under Marcos admin. The National Task Force did not recommend the revival of national peace talks with communist rebels. They prepare to continue the localist negotiations implemented by the Duterte administration. The Vice Chairperson, National Security Advisor, Clarita Carlos, gave a glimpse of what we do expect from the task force for the Marcos administration. It said that the local peace talks at the local peace councils are the ones working, so they will continue on that level because that is the call of the President of the Republic.
The
National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict, or NTF-ELCAC, does not recommend the revival of national peace talks with communist rebels. It prefers to continue the localized negotiations implemented by the Duterte administration. The NTF-ELCAC's Executive Committee convened for the first time on Friday, led by its Vice Chairperson, National Security Advisor Clarita Carlos. They also gave a glimpse of what the public can expect from the task force under the Marcos administration.
Within the more than 50 years na negotiation natin, wala po tayong nakuhang maganda doon sa national peace talks. The dynamic of conflicts is different in different areas.
The local peace talks and the local peace councils are the ones working, so we continue on that level. In regard to the resumption, that is the call of the President of the Republic.
Former President Rodrigo Duterte reached out to the rebels even before assuming office in 2016. Negotiations went on and off until he turned his back on the left a year later, as both sides accused each other of ceasefire violations. The Communist Party of the Philippines previously rejected localized peace talks. It said the government was only fabricating reports on the mass surrenders of rebels. The NTF-ELCAC now recommends offering amnesty to communist rebels, but gave no further details. Meanwhile, the task force says it will not red tag or baselessly associate anyone with the CPP, which the government has designated as a terrorist group. A former spokesperson, Lorraine Badoy, is facing several complaints for red tagging student leaders, teachers, activists, religious leaders, and even former Vice President Leni Robredo. Badoy now claims someone from the NTF-ELCAC is trying to silence her.
Tungkol sa kumausap kay Yusek Bade, wala po kami kinalaman doon. Inuulit namin ang red tagging na hindi po nanggaling sa National Task Force NCAP. Nabanggit na po namin ito na hindi namin ito tolerate ang red tagging. What we're trying to do is to unmask kung ano talaga yung totoo, kung ano yung mga grupo na ito.
There have been calls to abolish the NTF-ELCAC, but it is clearly here to stay as officials say it can put an end to the decades-old communist insurgency.
The next issue is, in 2021, the government canceled the purchasing of military helicopters. Now, Russia is hoping that the buying of military helicopters will continue. They said that they have not received any formal notice from the government of the Philippines that the buying of military helicopters was cancelled. In the contract, there is a process that must be followed for cancellation. They said it was a decision of Duterte to cancel the contract because of the threat of America to impose sanctions. It is said that there is force majeure that is called even if there is not enough notice to cancel the contract, and it is said that it can be said that Russia's attack on Ukraine was made as force majeure.
Umaasa ang Russia na itutuloy ng Pilipinas ang pagbili ng military helicopter na naunang kinansila ng gobyerno. Ang sabi ng Embahada ng Russia sa Pilipinas, handa na nga raw silang ipadala ang isa sa in-order na chopper. Nakatutok si JP Soriano.
Noong 2021, kinansela ng Pilipinas ang kontrata sa pagbili ng 16 na military helicopters mula sa Russia. Pero sabi ni Russian Ambassador to the Philippines, Marat Pablo, hanggang ngayon, wala pang formal na abiso sa kanila ang Pilipinas. Sabi ng Russia matapos magbigay ng 2 bilyong pisong down payment ang Pilipinas, gumulong na ang produksyon ng mga helicopter. Ready na nga raw i-deliver ang isa sa mga ito.
We are just prepared units in that is ready to be delivered. That is why competition is very important.
Sa mga kontrata raw, may prosesong dapat nasusunod para sa pagkansela nito.
We would like to see the position of the Philippine government. After that, we will discuss the same of the process of the same contractual obligation. I know that in any contract should be mentioned how it could be solved in case of one of the parties would like to cancel.
Matatanda ang kinansela ng Pilipinas ang pagbili ng chopper dahil sa posibleng ipataw na sanctions ng Amerika matapos gerahin ng Russia ang Ukraine. Ditong Lunes, sinabi ni US Ambassador to the Philippines, Mary Kay Carlson, na ikinagagalak nila ang pagkansela ng helicopter deal sa Russia. May plano rin daw ang Amerika na magbigay sa Pilipinas ng $100 milyong na assistance para pondohan ang AFP modernization program, kabilang na ang pagbili ng helicopter. Pwede rin daw itong gamitin ng Pilipinas bilang pang-offset sa 2 bilyong pisong down payment ng Pilipinas na sa bibilihin dapat na Russian helicopters.
Patuloy pa rin hinihinga ng GMA News ng pahayag ang Department of National Defense tungkol sa mga sinabi ng Russian Ambassador. Sa mensaheng ipinadala ni dating Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana sa GMA News, sinabi niyang nabuo raw ni dating Pangulong Duterte ang desisyong kanselahin ang kontrata dahil sa banta ng Amerika na magpataw ng sanctions. Ani Lorenzana, maaring sabihin na tinorminate nga ang kontrata nang walang sapat na abiso sa Russia, pero meron daw maituturing na force majeure o yung hindi inaasahang pangyayari na pwedeng maging basehan para di ituloy ang kontrata. Ayon daw sa ilang eksperto, maituturing na force majeure ang ginawang pag-atake ng Russia sa bansang Ukraine. Hinihingi rin namin ang pahayag ng Malacanang kaugnay sa mga sinabi ng Russia.
Sa iba pang balita, pinaaalalahanan ni Senator Raffy Tulfo ang Armed Forces of the Philippines na huwag iatas sa mga sundalo ang mga gawaing bahay. Narito ang balita ni Troy Gomez.
Pero let me remind you guys na kahit na anong kaganda yung ating mga military hardware equipments, it is as good as the people behind them, yung mga tao nag-ooperate noon. So dapat high moral yung mga tauhan natin.
Inalmahan ni Senador Raffy Tulfo ang ginagawa ng ibang general mula sa Armed Forces of the Philippines na pag-uutos sa ibang lower rank soldiers na gawin ang iba't ibang gawain sa kanilang mga bahay. Sa pagdinig ng budget ng Senado para sa Department of National Defense kamakailan, pinalahanan ni Tulfo ang mga opisyal ng DND na hindi nagsanay ang mga sundalo upang maging personal na tagapamalengke o tagalinis ng bahay at kubeta ng mga general.
Ang mga sundalo po, trainay niyan, nag-invest yung ating gobyerno kung paano humawak ng baril, paano dumipensa para labanan yung mga enemy forces to defend our country, kung paano sila humawak ng maayos ng baril, hindi po para humawak ng walis. Nakakaya naman po kung tatanungin yung sundalo, saan ka ba naka-assign? Ako po yung naka-assign sa bahay ni General Poncio Pilato. Taga-walis po ako, taga-luto po ako, taga-linis po ako ng kubeta. Huwag naman po.
Imbes na kumuha at magbayad ng kasambahay, napag-alaman ni Tulfo na pinaalis ng ilang general ang mga sundalo upang papuntahin sa kanilang mga bahay para gawing boy. Dati rin nakatanggap si Tulfo ng reklamo mula sa mga misis na nagsasabing inuutusan ng mga general na maglaba at magplansya ng mga personal na damit nila at kanilang pamilya. Ani Tulfo, tungkulin ng mga sundalo na pagsindihan ng bansa at hindi ang matataas na opisyal na ginagawa silang boy. Ayon kay DND Secretary Jose Faustino Jr., papaimbisigahan niya ang nasabing issue.
Kami po ay sa ilalim po ng aming pamumuno ngayon dito sa Department of National Defense. We will comply kung ano man po ang we will investigate the matter also.
And that ends our discussion on the issues of the Department of National Defense. Thank you.
It was very alarming to know that even some of the police officials were able to do this kind of wrongdoing act just for the sake of money. People like this don't deserve to be part of this department. So for my recommendation, I suggest that our government should appoint a person who is honest and surely will do their role, an official that has strong firm in terms of their leadership style. This department should clean and examine every personnel they have. And to finally stop those who will try to make a crime, the government together with the Department of National Defense should make a strong law and set a heavy punishment for those who will try to disobey and take advantage of the position that was given to them.
Maraming kaso ng mga retired personnel na nakatatanggap ng pensyon habang nagtatrabaho sa gobyerno at nakasasahod ng malaki. Ito ay di makatarungan sa mga mamamayang Pilipino na nagbabayad ng tamang buwis ngunit di nakakakuha ng kaparehang benepisyo. Kung ako ay nasa pwesto, irerekomenda ko na imbestigahan at alamin kung sino ang mga taong sakop sa isyu na ito. Sila ay pwedeng mamili kung nanaisin pa ba nila magtrabahong muli o hindi na, ngunit dapat silang ipatanggal sa mga ganitong benepisyo. Isa lang ang kanilang pwedeng makuha, ang kanilang pensyon o ang sahod nila mula sa kanilang trabaho. Magkaroon sana ng batas na naglalaman na pinagbabawal ang ganitong sistema sa ating bansa upang magkaroon ng pantay-pantay na benepisyo ang mga Pilipino. Ang perang malilikong mula sa isyu na ito ay maaaring makatulong upang mapaunlad ang sistema at magkaroon pa ng magagandang programa at proyekto para sa departamento na ito.
My recommendation to the issue of the Philippines and China over the territory in the West Philippine Sea is not war. Non-confrontational methods should be done to solve the problem. My recommendation is to strengthen the military forces. If we can patrol the West Philippine Sea, we will have a hard time asserting our ownership of it. For our soldiers to be more effective in patrolling, they need submarines, patrol aircraft, and patrol ships that can match China's maritime patrol vehicle.
Upang masolusyonan ang nasabing issue, dapat ay magsagawa ng investigasyon sa mga posibleng general na gumagawa nito at sila ay dapat nabigyan ng parusa dahil ang mga sundalo natin ay nag-training ng pagkatagal-tagal, nag-invest ang ating gobyerno sa kanila upang sila ay matuto kung paano humawak ng baril at kung paano dumepensa sa ating bansa laban sa ating mga kalaban. Hindi sila nag-training para humawak ng walis at gawing boy o tagapaglinis ng bahay ng general.
No more peace talks under Marcos administration. In this issue, I highly disagree to what the current administration's decision. Why? It is because if we stop the peace talks, there will be a possible conflict that will happen inside our country. CPP or Communist Party of the Philippines has their own ideology on how our country should function. And we all know if both parties has unsolved issues, it will lead to a civil war. So my recommendation for this issue is that continue the peace talks to prevent a war from happening. And the government should reach out to these people because this is one of their obligations and responsibility.
Department of National Defense plays an important role in protecting our country's security. So, the budget allocated to them should be used properly. It is important nowadays to be aware about the activity done by our government, their projects, and their issues. We are all part of one country, and as one of the citizens of this nation, be informed, be involved, be Filipinos.